My name's Kelten Campbell.
My name is Kaden Campbell.
So my name is Shane Campbell, and this is the story of my 2024 Alberta, Canada black bear hunt. I love going up to Canada. That's why I go every year. I basically go to two outfitters. On even years, I go to Big Tine Adventures with Blake, and then on odd years, I go with Mike with Mike's Outfitting. They're both amazing outfitters. I got a 7'6", 430-pound Bruin, as well as 2 years ago with Blake, I got a 7-footer that was a 20 and 3/16 skull. So Alberta, if you want to go for big bears, Alberta's the place to go.
The first couple days, I saw a few sows came in, a few young boars, but nothing big enough to shoot.
The first day I was there, I sat in a ladder stand. It was just a metal two-person ladder stand. And I saw two bears come in that night, a young boar and a sow, and the young boar just played with himself the whole night.
And the first day I saw a few just smaller bears, nothing crazy. One just young boar was really the only thing even questionable. All the other ones were just small bears messing around.
And then they switched me to a different stand. It was a platform stand the second day. On that day, I saw, I think, 6 bears, and one was a huge sow with yearling cubs. And so talking to Blake, we were kind of thinking that it's going to take a big boar to breed that sow. So the target was to stay there at that site and just kind of hunt that site for the rest of the week.
The second day I moved to a platform stand. The first night there, I'm sitting there throughout the night. Young boars coming in, a few young sows. At the very end of the night, everything's wrapping up, the night's coming to an end. And there was a big sow that came in just before dark. And so I was just like, well, tomorrow night for sure. And so it gets dark and I just am waiting. I start packing up my stuff. All of a sudden I just hear whoosh in the bushes, and out rushes this big boar just against the white barrel. Its head moved up and you could see that its head was just massive, blocky head, and unmistakably a giant boar. Unfortunately, it was laying down, shooting light had just about passed, and I decided to not take a shot.
So the third day we went out there, and it happened to be my birthday, and it was the same bears for the most part that I saw the second day on the third day. But right at dark, I'd actually just FaceTimed my wife because it was my birthday, and she was upset that I was bear hunting on my birthday. But the last 5 years I've been bear hunting on my birthday, so I don't know what she was upset about. That's what I do in first week of June. But anyway, I just FaceTimed her, and I was just barely whispering her and kind of showing her the bears that was there. That big sow was there, and another boar that was there, and all of a sudden I said, I gotta go, and I pointed, and there's a huge bear. And he was just kind of standing broadside, but I knew he knew I was there, so I didn't move. I was sitting in my chair and my bow was hanging up above me. So I just waited for him to look at that sow. So he ignored me and then went towards the barrel, which put him exactly away from me with his head at the barrel and his butt towards me. The blood was everywhere. It was super easy to find. He ended up being a 7'4" squared boar, 355 pounds with almost zero fat. We were guessing around 10 years old. He was starting to get a little bit skinnier in the back side, and he had grayish white hairs all throughout, speckled through his fur, his coat. So he was a very mature boar. I honestly thought he was going to be my biggest boar. He did not end up being it, but he was absolutely probably, I would guess, the oldest boar I've ever shot. But absolutely amazing bear. Super excited to go up there with Blake this year. Just like I said, Alberta is just a whole different story when it comes to big black bears.
On the third day, I finally saw a bear that was big enough to shoot, but he came in from behind the barrel, and it was just a bunch of brush back there, and there was never really a shot. He went and laid down behind the barrel, and there was never an opportunity for a shot. So they caught him on camera and decided he was big enough to shoot, and so I waited for him the next day. He didn't come in. Waited for him the day after that, and finally saw him come in. And after, you know, a week and a half of not seeing a shooter bear at this outfitter, I was stoked, and heart was just pumping, beating through my chest. And it was 10 minutes before shooting light, so it got a little dark, and the bear had finally got up. He was just laying down the whole time. Finally got up to give me a shot, and I pulled back and released the arrow, and everything felt perfect, and I saw it just tracking. It was going to be a perfect shot, and I just see it hit something and ricochet, and I didn't see it. I didn't know what it was until we saw later that night that it had actually hit a black honey pot. So what happened was there's a honey pot, and it was in front of the bear, and it was dark, and there was a black bear and a black honey pot, so it just kind of blended in, and I didn't even see it until afterwards. So then I was super frustrated because that was my first opportunity to shoot a bear, and everything looked perfect. It looked like I was finally going to get it, and it just hit and ricocheted and missed the bear completely. So I was super frustrated, but we did see that bear again, so I thought that maybe he'd come back the next day. So we go back the next day and sit there, and had 3 sows come in, and that bear never came back.
And so the next day, we're like, okay, we see the bear, we know what we need to do. It just needs to come in a little bit sooner. And the weather was starting to clear up, so we knew we were gonna have a little bit more light. And so the same thing happens. I'm there, a few small bears come in, 10 minutes before the end of shooting light, that sow comes in, and just right after, that big old boar just slowly works his way into the bait. And he didn't come into the bait, he came just behind the bait. So on the left side, I have some thick brush, nothing I can shoot through, and I see him walking, so I'm just getting ready, kind of just get my bow in my hand, and he walks behind the bait. Doesn't really even eat for a minute, and then just turns around and starts making its way over back into the trees. So I didn't have a shot there, and it's just like my heart's thumping. I'm like hoping I get a shot, hoping he'll come back. Unfortunately, he just keeps on walking to the right, and there was a little opening over there to the right, so I see him, but I draw back just real fast, thinking maybe I can get one off real quick, and he just takes off.
And so we get to the last day of the hunt, and I'm just thought that was my one opportunity. I was like, I don't think he's going to come back. And probably about 9:30, I see him start coming in from behind the barrel again. And I was just thinking, great, he's going to lay down the entire time, I'm not going to get another shot off. But he actually came in front of the barrel, and I was pulled back waiting for him to stand up. I thought I hit him well, and he kind of moved a little bit right when I shot, so I was concerned it might have been too far forward. But we were able to track him, and found a good blood trail and tracked him through the brush for about 150 yards. And finally, we were able to find him and got up there and actually clipped him through the front of his lungs, and went about 150 yards, and we found him. So it was the last day of the hunt, last hour of the hunt, and I was finally able to get that Alberta black bear.
Just sitting there thinking about the experience that I was able to have through this hunt, and even if I didn't get one, I remember telling myself, I'm content. I saw a massive bear, a giant bear, and not many people get that opportunity, so I really couldn't complain. And sure enough, small bear after small bear come in and leave, and I just never got to see that bear again.
But it was a great trip. I always have a great trip up in Canada. That's why I continue to go up there. There's great outfitters up there, great bears. The hospitality's good, the food's good, and just you don't always get the opportunity at a 7-footer. But the potential is already there to have, it's always there to have some major bear ready to come out and just surprise you.